The US just stole $100 million worth of gold from Venezuela, and they're about to steal more. Everyone wants gold right now. It's crazy. So US Interior, he's not a dog, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum just confirmed that the US brought back 100 million in Venezuelan gold. This sets a terrifying legal precedent that could completely wipe out your digital and ETF gold holdings. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly how they did it, why they did it, and what comes next. So first, we're going to look at the hidden treasury mechanism the US used to quietly confiscate this wealth. Second, we're going to look at why BRICS nations are panic buying 800 metric tons of gold this year, probably more than that actually. And third, we're going to look at how this exact legal framework is being positioned to trap your domestic gold deposits, allegedly. My name's Nick. I've been a professional investor and unprofessional trader for 24 years. Let's figure this out together. So right now, the mainstream media is framing this $100 million gold transfer as a simple commercial deal. Like they had a choice, right? Like Venezuela had a choice. I mean, I wish I could rob a bank and then say, hey, it's a commercial deal. I love it. Anyway, they are telling you that because Nicolas Maduro was captured, the US is just helping the new interim government open up its mining sector. But is the US government trying to help Venezuela, or are they trying to help themselves? I mean, we all know the answer to this, right? Because the answer lies in what the US Treasury just did. They just issued General License 51. And let me translate what this actually means for you. The license forces all payments for Venezuelan gold to flow exclusively through specific foreign government deposit funds. These are accounts completely controlled by the US Treasury. The US didn't send troops to steal physical bars out of the vault. They built a legal pipeline where they take physical possession of the metal through US refineries, but route all revenue into accounts that Washington controls. Venezuela only gets paid what, when, and how the US government allows. So they're perfectly happy to let retail investors think that this is a free market transaction while they completely monopolize a sovereign nation's hard assets. This means that the US has weaponized the finance clearing system to seize foreign wealth without firing a single shot. Well, I mean, they kind of did fire a shot, right, when they kidnapped Maduro, but you get what I mean. And this ties directly into a terrifying historical precedent that they don't want you to know about. Look at what happened with the $300 billion in Russian sovereign assets frozen by Western countries over the last few years, but it came to a head last year. The European Union just moved to indefinitely freeze those assets at Euroclear. And before that, the Bank of England refused to release like 31 tons of Venezuelan gold sitting right there in the vaults. So the underlying mechanism today is exactly the same. If the US government can use the Office of Foreign Assets Control to force a sovereign nation's gold into treasury controlled accounts, they can do the same to domestic deposits, right? And this isn't a conspiracy theory because they've literally done this to US citizens before. In 1933, President Roosevelt used the Trading with the Enemy Act to force Americans to surrender their physical gold to the Federal Reserve under a threat of a $10,000 fine, which back then was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money now, to be fair. That emergency powers framework still legally exists today. Now, the cynical observer would say that that centralized custody is the ultimate trap. The smart money knows exactly what's coming, though, which is why central banks around the world are aggressively pulling their physical metal out of Western vaults. BRICS nations added nearly 800 metric tons of physical gold to their reserves in just the last year, and it might go up to 1,000 tons this year. That's what some people are saying. For the first time in 3 decades, global central banks hold more value in physical gold than they do in US treasuries. They are building a digital settlement instrument called the BRICS unit, backed 40% by physical gold, specifically to escape this confiscation mechanism. Meanwhile, US retail investors are pouring record amounts of fiat savings into gold ETFs and tokenized gold platforms like Paxos rather. These platforms currently hold over like 7.4 billion in tokenized commodities, which is ridiculous. This is like the biggest scam ever. They just keep adding more and more layers between you and physical gold, and they sell it to you as buying gold easily and safely. But what it really means is if the system collapses, you now have to dig through multiple layers, 3, 4, 5, to get your money back. People are worried that if they hold physical gold, the US government might confiscate it again like 1933, which is plausible, right? We just talked about that. But honestly, since 90% of people hold paper gold, it's kind of already confiscated, right? They already own it. It's in their vaults. They just need to take it whenever they want. Anyway, over 90% of wholesale precious metals trading still clears through unallocated paper accounts. So literally 90%. They want you holding digital tokens and ETF shares sitting in US regulated vaults, because when the next liquidity crisis hits, the government can use this exact general license mechanism to ring-fence those domestic vaults and freeze your purchasing power, allegedly. So what does this mean for us? Look, a lot of people ask me, hey, if I hold physical gold, the government can confiscate it. But like I said, they've already kind of confiscated it because it's in their vaults. It means that the location of your gold matters infinitely more than the fact that you own it. I absolutely refuse to hold my wealth in paper contracts, unallocated ETF shares, or digital tokens managed by US regulated custodians. If a government agency can freeze your assets with a simple licensing memo, then you don't actually own those assets, right? So I hope that answered the question I always get asked about holding physical gold and is it safe compared to holding ETFs. If you want to know more about the 2026 financial crisis and how I'm preparing for it, check out this video on my main channel. I put it out yesterday.